Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Major at PAX East, presented by One Nation of Gamers. My name is TJ. I'm joined once again by That's Admirable. I think I've said your name about 50,000 times this weekend, and it never gets old. We're about to jump into Kolento versus Orange, which is another doozy of a matchup. We've seen both these players play throughout the weekend, so That's Admirable. Give me the old scoop.
Orange kind of started out with that ESL Legendary Series win in Katowice, where he 3-0'd over Amaz, and then since then it's been all uphill. Seat Story Cup 3, ABOS Grand Tournament, and the ASUS Republic of Gamers 10th Anniversary Tournament as well. Almost $40,000 in cashes for him, where Kolento on the other side, just been a very consistent career overall, over $100,000 in cash his lifetime, with a number of first place championships under his belt as well, including a top 4 performance at the first World Championships. This is definitely a big match that we have taking place. I mean, the fact that these two guys have to face off in the top 16, it's just a pleasure to watch these guys always compete. But unfortunately this time, only one of them can move on.
Only one can move on to the top 8. Once again, top 8 secures Hearthstone Championship Tour points. It also gets the players at least $250 moving forward. Of course, there's a $10,000 prize pool with a $4,000 grand prize for first place. Keep in mind, first place also gets you a spot at that PAX Prime ONOG 2016 Circuit Grand Finals in August. So lots on the line, and I know whoever makes it to the top 8 out of these players would probably be considered one of the favorites moving forward. So definitely going to be a solid matchup, and we have some unique classes here. Paladin being the only crossover after bans are taken into consideration for these players. And then we have Druid Warrior on the side of Kolento and Shaman Warlock on the side of Orange.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how this one lines up. Kolento has been doing an expert job with his Murloc Paladin deck. I mean, just piloting it so well in all the matchups. And also against it with his Warrior build. We saw him put on a fantastic performance yesterday where he managed to hold on to double Brawl and a Sludge Belcher for basically the entire game until he landed the perfect situations to unleash that combination. Orange, I don't believe we've seen his Paladin deck just yet. I know he tends to favorite Secret Paladin, or favor Secret Paladin a lot in those matchups where he'll play the more top-heavy build with Ragnaros in it. So we'll have to see what's going on with these. Not a surprise to see him playing Reno Warlock basically ever. He loves to play control decks very often.
Yeah, well, we'll see, but he cues into a pretty poor matchup right off the bat. Kolento is going to throw out the Druid, and he is going to match up against that Reno Warlock. So, tough matchup for Orange. We'll see if he'll be able to pull it through.
Some pretty good draws at certain stages of the game. Now, that being said, Kolento's start is not the greatest. Savage Roar, Harrison Jones, Shade Extremis, Innervate does have the option to Innervate the Shade here on turn 1, which I would tend to be doing in this match. Turn, the Druid oftentimes just keeps up with you in card draw and kind of goes, play a threat and threaten lethal with Force Nature Savage Roar. And then do that over and over and over again until the overwhelming situation eventually occurs where they either 22 you from hand or you don't answer their threat and they kill you. So this is certainly, Orange has got his work cut out for him in this game. Typically to win this, it requires him to play a more mid-range style where he can get in some damage and actually threaten his own lethals to hope to force some action from the Druid player. But that's going to require some pretty good draws at certain stages of the game. Now, that being said, Kolento's start is not the greatest. Savage Roar, Harrison Jones, Shade Extremis, Innervate does have the option to Innervate the Shade here on turn 1, which I would tend to be doing in this matchup. If he gets outside of the Hellfire range, it's definitely sticking on board for quite a while.
Especially after waiting that long, because you're effectively giving away that you have Innervate Shade. Yeah, because there's not too many other plays being not on the coin that you can make on turn 1 unless you have a double Innervate. So, you can't really be able to. It's hard to make those reads, especially against a player like Kolento who takes his time a lot, even when he doesn't have many good plays. But it does sort of give those things away. But I definitely agree with the Shade, and for the reasons that you mentioned.
That being said, if you do believe that gives the information away, I would encourage you to wait against the player who you think is going to believe that. And just take advantage of that. Always wait. And then they'll always think you have the best hand possible. I know in my history of playing against card players, when a good player is thinking for a long time, I've always kind of like mini panicked in my head where I'm like, does he just really have the perfect hand? And he's making sure that it's the perfect hand. This is kind of scary. Like it's always kind of a nervous situation. Like since then, I mean, I was like 16 when I was playing tournaments and stuff. It was 14 years ago at this point. I don't really get those same nervous feelings anymore. Now I just kind of get like a an energy from being under the lights and under the camera. That's always makes you think twice about it. But certainly a feeling I've been victim to. I certainly think a lot of people are when they first start out. Just gonna be hero power for Kolento, set up for swipe next turn. Orange likely to sniff this out and likely just to drop that Imp Game Boss anyway. Kind of interesting, actually, that Kolento chose to innervate out the Shade, because had he not done that, that means that Bomb Lobber was a potential out. I keep forgetting this card was in Orange's list. Very interesting inclusion in here. I mean, he does have the kind of version that can beat Druid, too. It's a little bit more mid-rangey.
Yeah. So he opts to go for the coin Twilight Drake instead over the Imp Game Boss, which messes up his curve a little bit, but what it also does is better contests a turn 4 play. Also sets him up a little bit better for swipe as well. Instead of leaving like a 2/2 Zombie Chow and a 1/1 on the board, he has a 4/5 Twilight Drake on the board. So does mess up his curve. That's something to note. This turn he's going to be playing Imp Gang Boss, whereas he could have been playing a Twilight Drake that had 1 more health and still kept onto the coin, but be left with a smaller board.
Yeah, kind of an interesting play indeed. I don't really know what the entire purpose of it was, other than to maybe just contest Pilot Shredder better. But with Shadow Bolt in hand, I think it would have been fine to just give up to the Pilot Shredder. It was going to be delayed Imp King Boss instead and start punching. The damage that he gets in is relevant to a certain degree.
Damage is going to stick. So now Kolento has 2 5-drops. I don't remember if Orange runs Diraxis, but I'm leaning towards yes. I think Kolento had the Reno Jackson Warlock that didn't run the Diraxis.
We haven't seen Diraxis yet, anyway.
Yeah, we haven't seen it, but we've seen 29 of his cards.
That is true. Hey,
there was a game yesterday where it had 1 card left.
I'm going to say at Fight Night, Real saw 29 of his cards too, and still didn't have Archmage Antonidas in his freeze deck. So,
yeah, I remember back in those days.
Poor Reels.
Yeah,
he just literally had the game 100% won if it wasn't card number 30.
Blizzard felt so bad they hired him. Now, Reels is a very talented individual who does a lot for the Hearthstone team at Blizzard, and one of the players to make the transition from pro player to caster to Blizzard.
I actually remember him talking to me about that and said he was a little bit reluctant to submit a resume because he was like, "Am I really a candidate they would consider?" I'm like, Reels, yes. Yeah. Top of the game. You got a great attitude. Everyone loves you. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And then just like 2 days later had the job. Yeah. Like, yeah, you. I think you might literally have been the person they were thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Kolento still chugging along, and Shade and Axe ran himself off the board now, but I felt like that was a good trade for him to make. He didn't want to let the board get too out of control. One mistake that players make sometimes is to be a little bit too greedy with the Shade and Axe Ramus and to never let it come out. And that's a mistake that Kolento is not going to make because of his experience. After all, it is a 3-drop. You did use an Innervate to get it out, but it is a 3-drop. So trading it up into a Twilight Drake and getting a Shadow Bolt to get thrown at it to remove it is, I'd say, pretty good value.
Yeah, is playing a little bit into mind control tech here sometimes, but I don't think it can really be a big worry at the moment. I mean, he does have Ancient Lore to keep drawing and does have Savage Roar, so needs to get a little bit wider on board. Orange, not really a ton of good responses to this. Like if he plays Emperor Thorison, it's already checked by the Harrison Jones on board, does get a big discount, but he's got to find a way to build the board position in his favor, which doesn't have a ton of ways to do. I mean, Sylvanas might be kind of the way to start doing it, but Bomb Lobber is such good value here sometimes. I don't know about this, though. This seems really risky.
He dies to just Savage Roar if he doesn't remove 1 minion from the board.
Yeah, that's
So I
certainly
think
something he's thinking about.
Whoa! Well, that's
Yeah,
the perfect target.
Yeah, it's pretty darn good. And I think at this point you could even consider using Soulfire because you got such a good bomb lobber. Wow, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Wants to pitch away probably the Sun Fury Protector, honestly. Like maybe Piloted Shredder would have been a better pitch.
But if he had hit either the Druid of the Claw or the Harrison Jones, it would have been the same outcome. So there was it was basically a 50% chance for a good outcome there. So you have to take that risk. A lot of times you can play around one piece of the combo this early in the game. Like Savage Roar is not that unlikely for Kolento to have picked up this thus far, and he was dead to just Savage Roar plus a hero power would have been exactly 22 damage last turn. So smart play there to not go for one of those 6 drops, either the Sylvanas or the Emperor Thorsan. And I see he's just gonna coin out a hero power to take out that 1/1. Wow.
Yeah, I don't mind this. I mean, this continues the same line that he just followed last turn, which is try to push your opponent into a bad position with Savage Roar. So when looking at this hand, I mean, when is the Innervate really ever going to be useful? And I think that's part of his thought process here. Orange picks up Dark Bomb to go along with this, and I think he's trying to figure out a way he lives through something super crazy over the next couple turns. But also just might not be panicking at all. I mean, the fact that he's trimmed the board down isn't vulnerable to a Savage Roar anymore. Yeah, Emperor Thorsan it is.
Okay. Oh, we're getting close here.
Oh, God, that draw is awful. Yikes, that is painful to look at. You know, as good as Wild Growth is on turn 2, it is really bad on turn 8.
It's really bad in a lot of places between like turn 7 and 9. Like 7, 8, 9 is pretty bad. Unless you're trying to ramp into specifically combo, it's usually pretty bad. Especially considering he can play most of his hand this turn. So he can put some more stuff on the board. But at this point, he's not all in, but he's definitely in a spot where he's got to make the most out of these pretty weak cards that he has in his hand. If his board gets cleared, he's starting over from scratch.
Yeah, Savage Roar would be 16 damage next turn against Orange. I'm curious if he feels like he's going to need to Reno here.
I mean, he can Reno Jackson and Piloted Shredder. So, that's even if you have Reno in your hand, you're still vulnerable from 25 plus health if you leave 4 minions on the board. So, especially going into turn 9. Is Force of Nature Savage Roar still just lethal, even if he plays Reno Jackson? It'd be 18 plus 9. It'd be 27 damage. So it wouldn't quite be there.
Oh, I'm going to puke. Oh my gosh. That is the worst sequence of draws Kolento could have possibly had on these turns.
Yeah.
I'm going to puke. Oh my gosh. That is the worst sequence of draws Kolento could have possibly had on these turns.
Yeah. And now he's got to use a Savage Roar to clear the board. Oh, man. Admiral's face right now. It looks like he just watched like a kitten get brutally murdered.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what is he supposed to do? He just can't do anything. He's like, well, I've been playing this card I've been trying to kill my opponent with the whole game to clear a Piloted Shredder and a Reno Jackson that just healed my opponent to full.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's got to start bringing these minions as far as he can. I mean, next turn he's got double Wild Growth to cycle. He can at least next turn he can turn those cards into something better. But that's a lot of sort of tempo missed by foregoing 2 turns. Imagine if he had picked up a strong minion instead of either of those Wild Growths. He would have been in such a better spot. At least he does have the big game hunter to match up against this Dr. Boom. But will he have enough oomph to sort of push back through and make it one? Yeah.
Can't play it this turn, but still a welcome sight to see. Something that is to be said here is that if Kolento can safely use his Wild Growths late in the game, you often end up in a pretty good situation because of it. Oh, it takes 4 from the Boombot. Damage. It adds up. I mean, certainly don't want to be taking 4 from it.
But he clears the board, develops a minion again. So we're still in a good spot. He knows that Reno Jackson is gone, so the damage that he deals is going to stick. At least for a reasonable amount of the damage he deals is going to stick. There's still a heal bot left.
Yeah, I like the Dark Bomb here to get the Sylvanas on board. Wouldn't mind seeing the Implosion either, but I think that when you play the Sylvanas first, it's a little bit stronger because this is so likely to pull heat here. Like if Kolento has swipe right here, it's very often he's going to swipe and hero power this. So when Orange just sees Wrath, I mean, he's got to be thinking like this may be an opportunity for me to really take advantage of this game. Like if we drew Power Overwhelming here, it'd be pretty lights out.
Belcher's decent as well.
Yeah, I mean, protecting the Sylvanas is still a very, very strong play.
But how does Orange win from here? Because he can't develop the board and push damage every turn. Eventually, he's going to have to start removing because he's going to be sort of in combo range for much of the game. Sludge Belcher this turn does block it. Sylvanas makes the turns really awkward, but the minions by themselves, Kolento just has stronger ones, I feel, for most of the rest of the game here. Can Orange survive long enough to push through?
Yeah, that's what I think it's a matter of, is really just continuing to push the damage of his own. If he can keep a clock on Kolento, maybe he forces a couple of defensive plays, and then that's enough to just keep the board stabilized as long as you can. Again, reuse that Reno. With complete information that Reno was a bit premature, but did play it very defensively to make sure he didn't lose. Figures if this game goes long enough, he is going to win. And it's kind of a good turn here for Orange. Molten Giant, not quite the draw he's looking for. We'll see how this one pans out exactly.
You can Hellfire Implosion to clear. They have a 5/5 on the board still.
Yeah, Hellfire might be a little bit aggressive at the moment, just because of his life total.
Yeah, but he's seen both innervates, so it would leave him with a 5/2 on the board, and whatever imps he gets from the Implosion, and he would put Kolento down to 7 health. And he would be at... Okay, well, the tap changes things just a little bit.
Yeah, Defender of Argus is pretty curious here. Maybe he's going for a Shadow Flame, it looks like. Yep. Don't blame him for that at all. I mean, he leaves 4 points of damage on board, has 3 more with the Hellfire. That's enough damage to in theory, to end the game. And if Kolento just goes for a big board development here and, gains like a single point of life, Orange can just attack with a Twisting Nether and set up again. Looks like he's going to keep control for quite a while unless Kolento just does something really crazy. I mean, like, if he Force of Natures defensively, he's giving up a lot of his combo reach at that point. Like, there'll be 1 copy of Force of Nature left after that.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to probably Wrath Emperor Thorsan and just hero power.
Yeah, which I like this play. I think this is probably the strongest mix of development and defense he can mount. Azure Drake, I don't mind the Azure Drake either. You can get a 3/3 on board. But I think the Emperor Thorsan's just better. I mean, the discount means so much if you live through this turn. So this is the major risk that he has to take this game. It seems like not very much, but 2 points of damage when you're at 8 is a lot of damage.
Lothab.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, he could even tap. He could get away with a tap. He could tap Lotheb, Earthen Ring, Farseer, and just hit face. And
Yeah.
he puts Kolento down to 6 with an intimidating board and plays around Microtroll Tech. Kolento can't really use many spells. He can use either Force of Nature or Savage Roar. He's seen a lot of key cards already. But it looks like it's going to be Implosion.
The only thing he wanted to do there was avoid rolling a 2 on the Implosion, which would have been potentially a disaster. So this Mind Control Tech could swing things around.
That's the only thing that this play plays into is Mind Control Tech, as opposed to the other one. But he would have left an Emperor Thorson on the board otherwise. So I think you got to go for that. Got to hope that you steal the Lotheb while he's going. Oh, swipe. No, swipe.
Swipe.
Yeah, because of the Lotheb.
Yeah, it's got to be Mind Control Tech, and he needs to steal this Lotheb. Yeah, it takes a 1/1 instead, so it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage available for Orange. Orange is going to lock up game number 1 here. Not really a spectacular game number 1, just very solid play from Orange, kind of dotting his I's and crossing his T's, making sure he's not losing to any outrageous hands from Kolento. His defensive play is very rewarded in this one. Jaraxxus goes, me!
Yeah, and Orange has to be feeling really great going into an unfavorable matchup. One of the most unfavorable matchups in Hearthstone at the moment, and that's Druid versus Reno Lock, and taking a win. The percentages aren't completely skewed. A lot of matchups are close nowadays because we're so deep into the meta. It's still, though, a great win for Orange to pick up. That's a nice start for him moving into the series.
Yeah, a couple extra cards in here to help handle the Druid issue, too. The Bomb Lobber being a big contribution, as well as the Shadow Bolt just being a cheap way to deal damage onto one target. Druid doesn't play a bunch of minions at one time. It kind of just goes one at a time and moves up the curve. So if you can use Shadow Bolt, just 3 mana 4 damage, take out a guy, and then play sort of a small guy to go along with it. That's a totally reasonable play. I mean, we saw the Shadow Bolt be a pretty big impact in that game.
Yeah. So we're going to move into game number 2 here. Kolento going to throw out the Druid once again, and Orange with the Secret Paladin. So this matchup's pretty close overall.
Yeah, it tends to be a little bit favored in the Secret Paladin side, I'd say. When they get off to good starts, it's really hard for the Druid to win. And Ragnaros, if you kind of go 1-for-1 up the curve and then have Ragnaros and they don't have Big Game Hunter for it, that's the kind of card that can really take control of the game with just 1 or 2 turns. So Kolento does have a very strong start here with turn 3 Emperor Thorson. But we'll have to see what he keeps along with it.
Yeah, so turn 3 Emperor Thorson followed by a Paladin Shredder is a pretty good play, but he is going to chuck it away.
Yeah, don't mind this. I mean, utility is really important in this matchup. If you're going to have turn 3 Emperor Thorson, you probably want to follow up with like Swipe or Living Roots or Keeper of the Grove and just stuff to just keep the board swinging back in your favor.
That's a great pickup for turn 1. Able to still preserve the coin, but also take out the threat of the Secret Keeper.
But the second one's going to come down, and Coghammer picked up for Orange on turn 3. Looks like he's going to Hero Power instead. Ooh, that Wild Growth is a very welcome draw. But I think Orange is kind of happy with that too, honestly. He just gets the Coghammer down and has Keeper of Voldemort to follow up. Instead is going to take this time to Secret Keeper and Hero Power again, it looks like. I'm not sure which one of these is better, honestly. Like, Coghammer looks like it's really good. There's a lot of weapons in this deck, and so if you have to override weapons, you do lose some damage longevity. But the same thing, if you forego an opportunity to play a minion, that's less repetitive damage you can potentially get out of that. This Emperor is certainly going to fall next turn. It's one of the reasons I think I like the Coghammer is just because of the way it challenges Keeper of the Grove, the way it challenges Pilot Shredder right here. It's just and happens to challenge Emperor Thorson,
and leave around a 3/3.
Yeah, so Orange is kind of when he sees his play, he's like, "Oh crap, turn 3 Emperor Thorson's really strong," but he's got a pretty clean way to answer this. So I'm venturing to say that this is actually still even at this point. Maybe even ahead.
Still though, Kolento has a reduced Ancient of Lore. All of the cards that he has in his hand Even Force of Nature has some good use. Mind Control Tech's most likely going to find a target. Keeper the Grove definitely going to find a target, but can he's still on the back foot, which is the thing. What's he going to pick up? 2 minions, which probably not what you want to see. You want sort of proactive stuff.
Oh, geez. That's a good one. Wow, Orange's turn looks so... His turns look so good from here on out now.
Yeah.
Like, before it was looking just a tad weak, but now he gets to run over the Ancient Allure, keep a 7-3 alive, 3 damage to the face, keep the Coghammer around, develop Secret Keeper, not vulnerable to Mind Control Tech, have Mysterious Challenger for next turn. Swipe's a welcome draw for Kolento, but, this is kind of working against his game plan right now, which I think is get a big swing with the Mind Control Tech. That's one of the reasons this card is in this deck, is so you can have more swing turns versus Secret Paladin and then stabilize afterwards. Yeah. Secret Paladin doesn't have a ton of burst in its deck, typically. And so because of that, if you stabilize the board pressure, you can very easily coast on 4 or 5 life with just a taunt in play. Now, the Ragnaros changes that dynamic. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Orange has included this card, is to have this extra inevitability factor. It's something he puts in a lot of his decks. So Kolento's turn's looking pretty slim now for quite a while due to that Blessing of Kings.
This is so, oh man, so rough. None of his plays are good. Force of Nature clears. There's no way he can clear all of the threats. Force of Nature would just clear like the 3/3 and the Secret Keeper. Swipe just clears the 3/3 and the Secret Keeper, or just the 7/3. No matter which way you slice it, you're still in a lot of trouble. And I like putting the 2 damage into this. That means Swipe's going to clean it up next turn. You're going into turn 6, so you know Secret Keeper's most likely not going to get buffed because Mysterious Challenger is going to get played. And actually, if Mysterious Challenger is played, Colento's got a decent play next turn with just playing the Keeper of the Grove onto the Mysterious Challenger and then swiping. But then you got to worry about Redemption. You got to worry about the Avenge, which is going to fall on the Secret Keeper. You're spending your whole turn in order to do that.
Normally,
it lines up well, but
normally in this spot, or in this situation where your opponent's playing Mysterious Challenger, I think Kolento would still have an okay game here. The problem is he just took 8 damage, and taking that 8 kind of puts him in this really awkward position where he doesn't really have 2 more turns to get this done. It's so harsh.
He can Hero Power here and put 4 minions onto the board if that 4th secret is Redemption, and then Mind Control Tech. And if he steals a big minion, if he steals the Mysterious Challenger or something that got avenged, there's a possibility that Mind Control Tech plus Innervate Swipe could do a lot of work on this board. We'll see where the Avenge is going to fall. Ooh.
It's actually not that bad. Now if he steals a Mysterious Challenger, he actually can clear this with the swipe. So this Mind Control Tech, this could be a game changer.
What's it going to be? No!
Oh! What? Are you kidding me? Kolento steals the Mysterious Challenger! This was the only outcome that could put it back in this game. Oh my gosh!
I mean, an even worse outcome would have been if the Avenge landed on the Mysterious Challenger, and he stole a 9/8, and still cleared the board with swipe. But this is still just absolutely brutal. And I mean, Kolento's not out of the woods yet. He still has to deal with these minions from Orange, and he's still at 15 health. But wow, what a turn!
Yeah, not out of the woods, but he sees the light at the edge of that forest.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, what? I mean, that's the reason you put Mind Control Tech in this deck, though, is so that when you get into these otherwise unwinnable situations, you instead have a 25% chance to automatically win the game. Now, he hasn't automatically won yet because Orange still has gas behind, but it's so brutal. Like, I don't think Kolento's getting the damage. Does have a 25% chance to win on his own this turn, though. Pushes 8 damage to face, and then jams that Ragnaros down. I mean, I don't see another play.
Yeah. He also can increase the likelihood of it by killing off a Boombot potentially. So he has like a 50% chance to increase the chance to 33% that he wins.
So 25, split the difference, 8. So he's got a 29.25% chance to win the game this turn if he attacks face.
I mean, that's got to be the play. What are you gonna do? Oh,
I don't like this.
Ugh. I mean, you got to go for it sometimes.
Yeah, but isn't going to attack first. He wants to make sure that he can hit that Boombot with the 4-1 afterwards.
Yeah.
Gosh, double Boombot for 4. Well, does hit the Dr. Boom. So, kind of looking better for him. If you know where the Ragnarok shot's going to land, this probably looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
Kolento fishing for a Wrath or a Swipe. And he's got it.
Man. Well, that Rag did not live a very long life. Those Boombots dealt 8 damage to Orange.
Used to take 40 people to kill Ragnaros. Now it takes Boombots.
Now it takes the lesser side of a 7-drop.
That's not the strongest of draws at this point, especially post Mysterious Challenge. It's actually really unlucky to draw. That's the last secret in his deck.
Yeah, Orange is just out of gas at the moment. He needs a lot of help, and at the moment it just looks like Kolento's just going to cruise control to victory here. I mean, at this point, you just Ancient of Lore and start chucking along, look for that combo.
Second Savage Roar Swipe. He's got all the answers in the world.
What a brutal game. What a brutal game.
Get him, Druid. Punish him.
End him.
Flawless victory. You ever see the Mortal Kombat movie when you were a kid?
I wasn't allowed to watch that.
So like they get in this big fight, and like it's like back and forth, and finally one of them wins. And Shang Tsung just goes, flawless victory. And I was like, that was not flawless. That guy got hit a lot. Flawless was 100-0.
I was afraid of blood when I was a child.
Not a surprise.
Yeah. I was also afraid of death. I couldn't even watch Land Before Time.
It's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, Kolento has finally caught his prey and is eating it at the moment. This is like the Wildlife Channel, so I mean, there's really just not much to say at this point. The mind control tech was the crucial one, and then Orange, even despite getting the defensive Ragnarok shot that he was looking for, maybe should have been a little bit more aggressive with it. I think I would have liked the aggressive play a lot more. But Kolento is going to cruise to a Game 2 victory here, tie series at 1 game apiece. Shaman and Paladin for Orange now, and Murlocs and Control Warrior for Kolento. This is still kind of anyone's game.
How often do you lose from that scenario?
25% of the time.
25% of the time, and that's if they have the answers to it. But yeah, still anybody's game. It's tied up 1-1. I like Orange if his decks line up. I like Kolento if his decks line up. And right now we're going to see Secret Paladin versus Control Warrior. Once again, a pretty even matchup. Control Warrior does have a lot of removal, and there's some key cards that they're looking for. If they get some good brawls in the mid game, a lot of times the Secret Paladin runs out of gas. They don't have enough to reload, and the Warrior can cruise to a victory. But if the Warrior takes a lot of pressure early on, if they don't hit their weapons, if they don't hit their removal, they can be hard pressed to find ways to get rid of all of these strong and sticky minions that Secret Paladin's going to throw out.
This opening hand from Kolento looks a little bit tough. I mean, double Deathbite and Fire War Axe is going to help, but that's a lot of weapons to have drawn at this point.
Kolento's just rubbing it in.
Yeah, well, Orange might rub it in a second here. He's got Shield the Minibot, Coghammer, and Blessing Kings back behind with a turn 5 Mysterious Challenger, and a Ragnaros joins the party. So don't get too ahead of yourself, Kolento. You still get your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
We're all likely to be welcome here. Just be a swing and armor up, I imagine, for Kolento.
Big Game Hunter is a very important card in this matchup, though. if you can isolate a mysterious challenger going into like if you can clear the board and isolate a mysterious challenger when it's played, Big Game Hunter deals with that exceptionally well. And he's just going to preemptively attack this, but he is going to get punished with the Cog Hammer.
Yeah, still like the attack. I mean, you need to force action from your opponent. You're going to play the Death Bite next turn anyway. You might as well make some use of your Fire War Axe while you can. It does take a little bit of extra damage, but I don't think it matters too much in the long run.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a punish. It's just Orange having what he needs.
There's some consideration here for Blessing of Kings, but I think that when you see Kolento just swing and armor up, you can feel pretty confident he doesn't really have an answer to the Shielded Minibot this turn. And so because of that, you can just save your coin, go into Blessing of Kings the following turn, and then right into Mysterious Challenger.
Yeah, and if Kolento Death Bite and swings in, that Shielded Minibot is just going to forever get out of range of dying from weapons.
Yeah, there's the 2 extra damage. Down to 23, and here we go. Likely to be a lot lower after this. Second Shielded Minibot joins the party. There are a few options here. I mean, I think I would tend to favor Blessing of Kings simply because I think it's the hardest card to use in this matchup. It's like you have to have a minion out. You have to be swinging.
Yeah.
It has to be a profitable swing, and I think this is about the best one he's going to get. And holds on to the Cog Hammer here. Doesn't foresee himself playing weapons anytime soon, which I don't mind. It's certainly going to help him chew through Sludge Belchers. And then maybe if he gets Big Game Huntered, can find a way to climb back from that.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what, though, it's going to be really hard not to play Mysterious Challenger this turn.
Almost impossible, in fact.
It's like the coin just floats out of his hand and the Mysterious Challenger just cartwheels onto the table.
Cartwheels on a horse.
Look at my horse. Is going to find Shielded Minibot and Aldor Peacekeeper. Looks like he wants to go turn 6 Mysterious Challenger and then follow up afterwards. Okay. This still does add a lot of pressure to the board, but once again, Orange taking a very conservative line. But we've seen him do this in the last couple of matches he's played in, is that Orange has been content with just enough.
Yeah, why doesn't he play Mysterious Challenger? It's none of your business.
Exactly. Now, Brawl's going to come out here, and Keeper of Oldemon wins this one. I imagine this is going to meet the demise here. I don't think Kolento can just keep eating damage over and over again.
Yeah, especially since he's got a good answer to a turn 6 Mysterious Challenger with, just a Death Bite swing plus a Big Game Hunter next turn is a great answer.
Yeah, whereas if you actually don't kill this Keeper of Oldemon right now and your opponent plays Mysterious Challenger, it means that the Avenge can fall on the Keeper of Oldemon and that kind of mess you up. Now, that being said, he didn't see coin Mysterious Challenger last turn, so he may be discounting Mysterious Challenger as a card. But even still, I think I would attack just to keep the damage from hitting me over and over again. And Orange, gonna think twice about this. I mean, he does have the option to just muster for battle and make another token, which with Blessing of Kings in your hands, looking pretty good. But
and judging by his last play, I mean, he really wants stuff on the board, more than just one thing on the board to play Mysterious Challenger. But he's going to go for it, and Kolento does have a reasonable answer for this.
Yeah, reasonable to say the least. It's pretty darn strong. The thing about it here, though, is that I like the Mysterious Challenger more than the other play anyway, simply because it improves your card draw quality now. Like now he's more likely to draw Tyrion, more likely to draw Dr. Boom. Less likely to draw... I mean, drawing the secrets are not good draws right now. And that's kind of the big story here. So, Humble Sacrifice is going to get redeemed here. And Mysterious Challenger going to bite the dust this Big Game Hunter. Coghammer will answer the Big Game Hunter, and then Blessing of Kings looks like it'll add pressure back to the board. Still going to be rough stuff. Kolento's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not about removing as the control warrior. I mean, you can remove for days, but eventually the Secret Paladin's going to reload enough to apply the pressure. And I feel like Orange has put on enough damage so far to be able to piece together enough damage to close out the game. because Kolento's just not going to have enough time to gain the health to get out of range of some of this stuff.
Yep.
So like Kolento does have an answer to this large minion. He's got Slam, he's got Execute, but he's not going to be developing a minion, and he's not going to be able to get out of range, and he is going to just die to. Oh no, he could play Dr. Boom. Okay, with the Execute, yeah.
Yep, it's down to 3.
3 health.
Orange once again faced with whether or not to Ragnaros into the Dr. Boom.
Oh man,
Just teasing him at this point. If he'd have played Buster for Battle last turn, he'd have won the game. No, he wouldn't have actually. He wouldn't have dealt the 2 damage with the Noble Sacrifice. This is really weird.
also the 1/1s would have just died.
Well, I was just thinking because the charge damage, or the weapon damage that it got, but he wouldn't have been able to play Noble Sacrifice with it. So
He's so reluctant to just go for the rag win.
well, this
But
one
I
doesn't
mean-
look nearly as appealing as the last one did.
Yeah, it's 25% chance, and if you don't kill the Dr. Boom or kill Kolento, your rag just dies.
I'm really surprised that Orange chose to attack a Boombot here. I mean, I guess he just wants to keep his 1/1s alive as long as he can. Kolento, looking like he might have to slam or shield slam some of these 1/1s.
Slam, armor up, shield slam, shield slam.
Come on and slam and welcome to the jam right here. I mean, this is whatever way you get the job done, TJ.
Slam your own Dr. Boom.
That might be an okay play here. I mean, just drawing Sludge
Yeah.
Belcher looks like it's pretty strong.
Find a revenge. He doesn't want this to go face. All right, he takes out a 1/1. The thing is, he's not developing anything. So rag is rag's
think
basically like a win-win in the next
I think
turn.
at the very least here that I would be slamming both of them or shield slamming both of them and attacking for 7 so I can try to end the game before he picks up the right damage. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of that attack from Kolento in that spot.
All right. Well, Ragnaros
oh.
here either takes out the Dr. Boom or takes out the Kolento.
Which one would you rather face?
I don't know. Probably Kolento. Unfortunately for Orange, Kolento is not going away with Standard.
Well, still not quite out of it just yet. Slam. 6 health on the Ragnaros. Picks up Shield Maiden.
Whoa! But he doesn't have enough mana.
He doesn't have the mana to do that.
He can shield Maiden armor up though, which brings him. Oh no, he's dead to the Cog Hammer. He could set up a situation though where the Shield Maiden absorbs the rag hit once again, and then would have maybe enough armor the following turn to take it out. But it looks like just Shield Maiden armor up.
He's gonna slam again.
Okay.
He's going for, he's digging for that
Okay.
execute.
Nope.
Not today. Orange has at least a 50% chance to win this turn. And this is going to be really tough for Kolento to win from here on out. So every knife is going to hit that Harrison Jones as well as the big knife. Oh!
Okay.
Orange takes it. Wow.
Yeah, he lets out a sigh of relief. He's like,
I'm
okay,
like-
I finally killed him.
I see his facial expressions. I'm like nervous for him.
Yeah.
It's like his energy is like you can tell how much he cares about the match. Like he wants to win. And Orange isn't just like this in tournament matches. Like I have just watched him play friendly best of fives. He really puts his heart into it. This guy is very competitive, but not like in a mean way. It's just like he wants to give it his all, and he's hoping that everybody else gives it their all as well. I mean, he just enjoys the spirit of competition. And Kolento, meanwhile, it's like the complete opposite. Kolento's like, this is just another day at the office, man. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Try to fade these 50-50 rag shots all day, every day.
Yeah. Orange has a constant look of worry on his face. Like he's waiting for something always when he plays. Unless something crazy happens and he lets out a little smile, but then it's back to worry. But we are going to move into game number 4. This is match point for Orange. And he's got to win against either Control Warrior or Murloc Paladin with Aggro Shaman. And Kolento is just going to throw out the tougher matchup first. And that's going to be Murloc Paladin against his Aggro Shaman.
Yeah, we've been seeing Kolento do work versus Aggro Shaman all weekend long with his Control Warrior deck. He's had such timely Harrison Jones and just so much armor gain to stay at high life totals. I don't think we've seen the Murloc versus Aggro Shaman quite yet from him. We'll have to see how he navigates this. Going to go ahead and turn 1 hero power to try to contest. This is going to set up Flame Juggler for a 50-50 here. Nails it! And here we go.
All right.
Now, Blue Gill Warrior just to contest. Needs to do anything he can to try to peel damage from the board at this point. That's going to be Argent Horse Rider likely for Orange in this spot and just continue to attack face. Rockbiter and Piloted Shredder picked up, so you can see that Team Archon influence on this Aggro Shaman. Both Zelay and Orange running Piloted Shredder in their Aggro Shaman builds.
Yeah, it's a very consistent minion. It's very hard to remove. A lot of times you find yourself in a situation where you have that dead turn around the turn 4. It's the best play that you can make leading into Doomhammer. And also Orange runs an Earthshock, so that's a card that a lot of players have been cutting from their Aggro Shaman list because of its inconsistencies. You don't want to have dead cards in your hand with this deck, and sometimes in a lot of matchups, Earthshock can be a dead card.
Yeah, True Silver Champion gets picked up. We'll have to see how Kolento handles this turn. This is going to be Wild Pyro and Equality. Pull as much power off the board as he possibly can.
But, I mean, he's going to take some damage. Whatever comes out of this Pilot Shredder, it is a 2/2. That just allows him to fit in extra stuff.
Pint-sized Summoner ability doesn't matter this turn. And he does have Consecrate back behind this. So is going to wipe up just a little bit more of this damage. Keep going. In the meantime, takes 4. Going to 13. I imagine this is Consecration. I mean, I could be wrong. Now he's run the second copy of True Silver Champion. It may be True Silver Champion attack Flame Juggler into Consecration next turn, and then get a second attack from your True Silver Champion, then play another one the turn after, so to just chain off the True Silver Champions to try to buy more time.
I think if this was a different totem, maybe that'd be the case. But leaving a Spell Power totem on the board when you're this low is risky. It's very risky.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. This is scary. I think he's probably going to have to take a risk here regardless.
Yeah.
He needs to get the attacks of these True Silver Champions in. 13 life. I could end the game this turn. Could Crackle end this?
Well, Totem Golem certainly can't.
I tell you what, though, it's still strong.
Yeah, so Kolento being rewarded for playing the True Silver Champion last turn. Now he has a full board clear with Consecration, and he has the True Silver Champion reload for the next turn. So if he can survive long enough to get to that lay on hands, he might be in good shape. But Aggro Shaman could still pull a lot of damage out of
thin air.
Yeah, I was
from the Aether. The Maelstrom.
Wow, that's oddly accurate lore-wise. Because he's Thrall.
Got him.
I'm impressed. Got him!
Thanks. Boom. Down to 8. Consecration going to clean things up. Orange needs 5 points of damage. Rockbiter will do it. Lava Burst will do it. Crackle will do it half the time. Leroy Jenkins would do it. I don't know if Leroy's in his deck. I don't think it is. Lightning Bolt, not enough. If that Earthshock... See, this is one of the reasons why Earthshock finds its way not into these decks. If Earthshock would have been something else, this game might have ended.
And double lay on hands. So if Kolento can make it through one more turn, he might be home free. He can go up to 10 this turn, and Orange has 6 damage in his hand, potentially 7 if he rolls a Spell Power Totem.
I mean, Kolento didn't die last turn. So what he's thinking is, do I need to True Silver Champion?
Man. Now it's just 2 damage that Orange needs. Pretty much every single piece of burn in his deck is 2 damage, and that's a lava
Nods
burst.
his head. The lava burst is going to wrap things up. Orange is moving on. 3-1 versus Kolento. On to the top 8.
And
Woo,
now
doggy.
that's 2 times in a row now that we've seen Archon come out on top of the Archon versus Cloud9 battle. So with that, that means all of the Cloud9 players have been eliminated from the Hearthstone Major at PAX East. And a quick update from the another match that happened. A round of 8 match happened where Astrogation from New Order Esports took out IV 3-0 to be the first player to move on to the round of 4. But Orange now secures his spot in the round of 8.
Yeah, also, round of 16 update, Dakota took out Firemancer in that one, so he moved on to the top 8 as well. Next matchup looks like it's going to be Amnesiac versus Dakota. And Dakota player, made it this far. I've kind of been seeing his name throughout the event in the bracket.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar with this player, though. Looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. Top 8 is a big run in this event.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's been a lot of strong players. I'm going to take a look at Dakota's match history from the tournament so far during the break to see exactly who he's defeated to get up to this point. But a strong opponent in Amnesiac. That's going to be a tough matchup for him. But cool to see Orange move on. Unfortunately, that means Kolento has been eliminated. Round of 16 run, though. Might be a little bit disappointed with that one given his Hearthstone resume, his decorated career. But we're going to have to go to a quick break before we jump into the next match. Moving on to the round of 8 now. So we're getting closer to crowning a champion. But don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone PAX East Major presented by One Nation of Gamers will continue right after this.